For millions of television viewers, she is frozen in time as baby Lyssa, the tough-as-nails, no-nonsense tomboy who could chase down a fugitive alongside her famous father on the global hit show, Dog the Bounty Hunter. She was the fiery, fiercely loyal daughter with an attitude that could stop a grown man in his tracks. But that image, the one captured and replayed for years, is just a single frame in a life story far more turbulent, tragic, and ultimately triumphant than any reality show could ever portray. Once the cameras stopped rolling and the series ended, Lyssa Chapman's life didn't just quiet down, it detonated. What followed was a harrowing journey through the wreckage of family feuds, shocking arrests, hidden abuse, and public breakdowns. But it was also a story of incredible resilience. This is the story of what happened when the cameras went away and a young woman, forged in chaos, had to face her demons alone. It is a story of a stunning transformation that no one saw coming. To understand the woman Lyssa Chapman is today, you have to understand the chaotic world that forged her. Her story begins with the foundation of instability. Her parents, the legendary bounty hunter Dwayne "Dog" Chapman and his third wife, Lyssa Ray Britton, split not long after she was born, leaving a permanent mark on her young psyche. While other little girls were playing house, surrounded by the comforting fantasy of perfect families, Lyssa was living in the fractured reality of parents who, in her own words, couldn't be in the same room without tearing each other apart. After the split, she moved to Denver to live with her father, but it was far from a stable home. They were joined by her older sister Barbara, who, despite being only 5 years older, was forced to take on much of the parenting role for young Lyssa. Their neighborhood was a rough landscape of crime and drugs, a world where danger was always lurking. The only protection they had was the formidable reputation of their father's name, which managed to keep most of the serious trouble at bay. But Dog was often consumed by his work, a whirlwind of adrenaline and danger, and his personal life was a revolving door of different women. Despite the constant upheaval, Lyssa clung to the idea of a bond with him, considering herself a daddy's girl, even when the reality at home was one of neglect. She would later describe how her father had a unique gift for creating fleeting moments of magic amidst the turmoil. She vividly remembers him renting a flashy car, driving them through the city streets, and handing out candy to people like they were the main attraction in a grand parade. It was chaotic, it was unpredictable, but for a little girl starved of stability, it was a memory to hold on to. Still, those bright spots couldn't erase the darkness. As Dog's own substance use issues worsened, Lyssa was often left in the care of her siblings, which frequently meant she was left completely alone. Her babysitter became the television, where she watched a stack of movies far too mature for a child's eyes. With no one checking in, she later admitted that this upbringing left her profoundly confused about what a normal family or a healthy relationship was even supposed to look like. It was a painful void in her understanding of the world that would take her decades of hard lessons to begin to fill. Her already turbulent childhood took a darker and more decisive turn at the age of 11. It was at this point that Lyssa made a serious allegation against her father, accusing him of assault. This explosive claim led to her desperate escape from the Chapman household in Hawaii, fleeing to the remote wilderness of Alaska to live with her biological mother. Years later, as an adult, Lyssa would clarify this painful chapter, explaining that it wasn't her father who had abused her, but another individual who was very close to him. But at the time, as a confused and terrified child, all she knew was that she needed to get out. The constant fighting in the household between Dog and his then-wife Beth, the presence of substances, and the overwhelming tension had become unbearable. Her arrival in Alaska, however, was not an escape to a peaceful sanctuary. It was merely an exchange of one form of chaos for another. Her mother was battling her own severe demons, particularly with alcoholism. But for Lyssa, it felt like a quieter kind of chaos. For the first time, she had the structure of school and a circle of friends. She found a sense of purpose and was fiercely determined not to go back to the life she had left behind in Hawaii. Her mother, embroiled in her own bitter history with Dog, immediately believed her daughter's accusations, a reaction Lyssa later reflected probably had more to do with her mother's own feelings than an objective assessment of the truth. But while most kids her age were navigating the anxieties of school dances and homework, Lyssa was about to face a reality that would catapult her out of childhood entirely. At just 14 years old, she discovered she was pregnant. Her daughter, Abby May, was born the day after Lyssa's 15th birthday. The baby's father was a man in his 20s who would later plead guilty to statutory rape, a detail that underscores the traumatic and predatory nature of the situation. This was not a story of teenage love. It was a crime that marked the brutal and premature end of Lyssa Chapman's childhood. Life as a teen mother in Alaska was a desperate struggle for survival. She had no real support system to lean on. Her relationship with her own mother became even more strained after the baby was born. In a shocking act of abandonment, her mother moved in with a new boyfriend, leaving Lyssa and her newborn daughter alone in a trailer and demanding that her 15-year-old daughter, who was only earning babysitting money, pay $500 a month in rent. Her relationship with her father was still fractured and distant. She was utterly alone, broke, and overwhelmed. She later opened up about this harrowing period, confessing that she truly believed she had no future. She was simply trying to survive, one day at a time, with a baby girl completely dependent on her. It was from this place of absolute desperation that she would eventually return to her father's world, a world that had, in her absence, been turned into a global television phenomenon. When Lyssa finally rejoined her father's bounty hunting crew in Hawaii in 2005, the show Dog the Bounty Hunter was already a runaway hit. In a bizarre twist, Lyssa, one of the future stars of the show, had never even seen a single episode. Her family in Alaska didn't have cable TV, so when she arrived on set to begin filming for season 2, the presence of cameras and a full production crew came as a complete shock. The show's producers seized on the drama of her return, naming the episode Baby's Back in Town to highlight her reunion with the family after 6 long years away. By then, she was 18 years old, but already a veteran of life's harshest battles. She was tentatively trying to reconnect with her father, hoping to give that fractured relationship another chance. But just as she was settling into this new, strange life in the spotlight, the inherent chaos of her family followed her. In 2007, the show was rocked by a major scandal when a private phone call, in which Dog was caught repeatedly using racist slurs, was leaked to the public. The network, A&E, immediately pulled the show from the air. Although it would eventually return, the incident was a stark and painful reminder for Lyssa that life under the microscope of fame meant that her family's private demons would now have a global audience. As if her televised family drama wasn't enough, Lyssa was hiding a dark and painful secret of her own, one that she would later expose to the world in her 2013 tell-all book, Walking on Eggshells: Discovering Strength and Courage Amid Chaos. The book was her attempt to reclaim her own narrative, to tell the story of the hell she had privately endured for years. In its pages, she revealed that she had been trapped in a long-term, violent, and psychologically damaging abusive relationship. She described how the abuse began subtly, with rough grabs and intimidating pushes, but gradually and inevitably escalated into terrifying acts of violence. This was not a past trauma. It was a reality she was living even during her pregnancy and the early years of raising her 2 children. One day, the abuse nearly cost her her life. During a violent altercation, her abuser held her by the neck and slammed her to the ground. In that terrifying moment, she thought it was the end. But something inside her shifted. She found an incredible reserve of strength, packed up her 2 daughters, who were just 11 and 3 at the time, and she left. The road ahead was long and difficult. It took months of legal battles to get him out of their house and to finalize a divorce. But she had taken the first and most important step. She later spoke about the complex psychology of an abusive relationship, explaining that even after everything, she didn't hate him. It felt, she said, more like loving someone who is sick with an addiction, a deep problem that you cannot fix. She had to finally accept that it was not her job to heal him, and that sometimes the truest act of love is to let go and save yourself. The public feuds that defined the Chapman family narrative reached a fever pitch during the most heartbreaking period of their lives: Beth Chapman's courageous battle with throat cancer. When Beth was first diagnosed in 2017, the family rallied, but as the illness progressed, tensions between Beth and her stepdaughter Lyssa began to boil over into a messy and very public war of words. The feud reportedly ignited when Beth claimed Lyssa had ignored her on Mother's Day in 2019. From there, the conflict escalated on social media. Beth publicly called Lyssa inappropriate. Lyssa clapped back, declaring she was done dealing with nonsense and engaging with the drama. Fans, feeling intimately connected to the family after years of watching the show, jumped into the fray. Some defended Lyssa, while others attacked her for feuding with her stepmother during such a difficult time. Lyssa, never one to back down, snapped at her critics online, making it clear she was not interested in outside opinions on her family's private pain. It was a tragic spectacle of a family cracking under the immense pressure of grief, fame, and a long history of unresolved issues, all playing out for the world to see. The chaos and controversy only intensified in the wake of Beth's tragic passing in 2019 at the age of 51. Just 6 months after losing her stepmother, Lyssa was horrified to learn that her father had begun a new relationship with Moon Angel, a woman who had reportedly been Beth's longtime assistant and had even dated one of Lyssa's brothers. To Lyssa, this felt like an ultimate betrayal. She took to social media in a furious tirade, accusing Moon of trying to step into Beth's shoes and questioning her motives for getting so close to her grieving father so quickly. The family drama reached a surreal peak when Dog appeared to propose to Moon on a live episode of the Dr. Oz show. While sources later claimed it was a moment caught up in emotion and not a real proposal, the damage was done. Lyssa's relationship with her father was once again in turmoil. Amidst this family storm, Lyssa found herself in a serious storm of her own. In January 2020, she was arrested in Hawaii for harassment and resisting arrest after a heated argument with her girlfriend. Lyssa claimed the police were overly aggressive, but court documents painted a rougher picture, alleging she had made unwanted physical contact with officers. The incident was another embarrassing and painful public moment for Lyssa and her family. And yet, through it all, she continued to navigate the impossible complexities of her family. When her father eventually got engaged to his new partner, Francie Frayne, a woman he bonded with over shared grief, Lyssa didn't just accept it, she publicly supported it, even as 2 of her own sisters were excluded from the wedding guest list. Her loyalty to her father, however complicated and tested, remained a powerful driving force in her life, even when it put her at odds with her siblings and, at times, her own values, such as when she was forced to publicly apologize for homophobic and transphobic comments her father made in 2022. The most powerful and inspiring chapter in Lyssa Chapman's story of reinvention is her hard-won journey to sobriety. Having grown up watching addiction ravage her family, it was perhaps inevitable that she would find herself following the same painful path, falling into drinking and substance use at a young age. Her low point came in 2011 with an arrest for disturbing the peace. But sobriety remained an elusive goal for another decade. The turning point finally came in 2021, not in a moment of grand drama, but in a quiet moment of profound clarity. Her dog became sick, and Lyssa realized she couldn't drive to the vet because she had been drinking. Sitting in that waiting room, tipsy and terrified for her sick pup, a single thought hit her with the force of a thunderbolt. What if this was my kid? That question was the catalyst for her transformation. It was the moment she chose a different path. She started with 30 days sober, and the progress just kept coming. In late 2022, she marked 18 months of sobriety, a milestone that represented a monumental personal victory. It was in this new, clearer chapter of her life that she also found true happiness. In 2022, she married her partner, Leanna, in a small, beautiful beach wedding in Hawaii. Surrounded by a handful of close family, with her daughters by her side, she finally found the peace and love she had once believed she didn't deserve. It was a powerful symbol of her new beginning. From a traumatized teen mom living in a trailer in Alaska to a global reality TV star, from a best-selling author exposing her deepest wounds to a domestic abuse survivor, and now to a sober wife and independent content creator, Lyssa Chapman's story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. She has recently hinted at a return to her roots, announcing that she is retaking her bail license test, suggesting the bounty hunter's fire still burns within her. Her life is a raw, unfiltered, and ongoing story of resilience. It is proof that second chances are not just real, but they are powerful, and that it is possible, no matter how deep the chaos, to rebuild, to heal, and to finally, defiantly reclaim one's own narrative.